All right, well, we're here back Saturday afternoon. All right, what's going on, everybody? Facebook, out Facebook land. I'm Herman. Here's John. John, what's good, man? What's
What's
going on with you?
good, man? Hey, just another day. Thank the Lord, and here to talk about some sports. A lot going on.
About some sports. Finally got a. Y'all have to excuse us. Not that we miss out on purpose, but our schedules get kind of hectic on Saturdays on the weekend. But when we can fit it in, we're going to be right here on Sports Chat. So today, we're glad to be back with you. John, what you been watching sports wise? You been watching the playoffs and Stanley Cup. What's going on?
Yeah, not much of the Stanley Cup. Be honest with you. Who's in it? Did the Vegas,
Miami, and Vegas? I believe
the Vegas, the Golden Knights, and
Golden Knights.
I will say this: playoff hockey is one of the most exhilarating sports.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll be honest with you. That's really about the only time I watch it.
Yeah. To be perfectly honest with you,
it's a whole nother level.
It is, especially if it goes into overtime and that's sudden death goal. So, crazy. I haven't watched much lately. I'll be perfectly honest with you, mainly because the Red Wings here in Detroit have been so god awful. I can remember
what happened there.
I mean, there was a time when the Red Wings
they were the team to beat
they had the longest playoff streak of any team in professional sports, not just hockey, but professional sports, and it just kind of came crashing down.
Listen. I wasn't born in Michigan, but I have Michigan roots that go deep.
Absolutely.
I went to college in Michigan, and I'm gonna say this: when you left the Joe Lou, you lost they lost their boom boom.
Listen, Joe Louis Arena it was like a farm barn. It was one of the oldest, most outdated buildings, but there was so much charm.
And just the Red Wing mystique.
The mystique of it was just unbelievable. And it kind of lost. We got the shiny new Little Caesars Arena. It's real nice, and we finally have all four of our major sports teams playing downtown Detroit, and so that's always been a plus. But it going to old Joe Louis Arena and going to this new place.
That was it, man.
It lost a lot of the luster.
Come on. It's not the same throwing the octopi as Little Caesar was Joe Louis. That's all I'm saying.
No. So
if I know that and I live in Albany, New York.
Right.
Come on.
Exactly.
Come on. But some a lot of times, a lot of those things they're synonymous with one another, right?
Yeah.
Just like I'm not a Celtic fan. They got the nice TD Garden still in the same vicinity of the old garden, because the North Station, but it's not the same.
Nothing like the Garden.
Ain't like the Garden.
The Garden.
Old rusty building look terrible. But
rats, you might find a rat running in Boston Garden.
And because the place looked ratty. the building was all the brick was all dirty. And I'll never forget. Years ago, I caught the train home from school, from Detroit, going back to Albany. And one of the stops was Cleveland, it was a night ride. So I woke up. I don't know, it might have been 6, 7 o'clock. I woke up. I see like this gray mass of in front of me. I'm like, what in the world is that? Because when you ride the train, you see all the abysmal parts of wherever you travel, because it's behind everything. You see the farms, the trash, the concrete. So I'm like, what is that? So then the train starts moving around. It was the old municipal stadium in Cleveland.
Yep. Been there.
God, what a terrible place.
You see that, or old Gund Arena.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think nostalgia is getting out of the way and making way for a lot of these new
modern. Yeah, because now they tear buildings down in 20 years and make another one.
Yeah. I mean, the Palace.
How long did the Palace last?
The
10
Palace
years?
was built in 1989.
Okay.
And so by what's that? 33. What is that? 1989, 33 years or something like that. Still a relatively young building,
Yeah, still relatively young. I mean, 33 is a long time.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at like
how the old ones lasted forever.
Look at Wrigley Field in Chicago.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Well, see, the thing about it, those older places like that, for some reason, they have a historic feel.
Absolutely.
Richfield Arena in Ohio. Those were top of the line modern facilities when they were built. They're only modern for 30 years now, and then it's got to go.
Yeah, I would have been perfectly fine with them updating and modernizing Joe Louis Arena and keeping it right there. I don't know if it would have been cost effective to do that. Obviously,
they wanted to put everything. They wanted to centralize everything.
Yeah,
they wanted, the whole casino, the stadium, 2 stadiums, the arena.
I think money, the love of money, and not to go real biblical on this sports show, but the love of money being the root of all evil. It's just money is just ruining the great traditions of sports. And you got like next season, you got, are you still there? Uh-oh, I think we lost Herman. Well, anyway, I'll keep going until he comes back. A lot of the great traditions in sports are being ruined by the lure and the love of money. Even in college football, my favorite sport by far. There's not a sport that I love more than college football. I'm waiting, for these NBA finals to get out of the way, and I'm waiting for baseball is having its normal trek through our spring and summer months, but I'm really salivating at the prospect of college football. Just love the time of the year, love the fall leaves falling and turning colors and that crisp air on Saturday mornings where people are teeing it up on campus. And so, but these traditions are being ruined by the love of money. You have these super conferences that are being built throughout the landscape of college football. You've got, Oklahoma and Texas that are joining the SEC, an already powerful conference, creating these super conferences. And then after this year, beginning in 2024, you have USC and UCLA, teams that are on the far western part of the country that are joining the Big Ten, which is basically a Midwest and East Coast conference. Now, why are they doing that? Why are they forming these super conferences? It's for the money. Television rights and negotiating these huge television contracts, getting rid of the traditions. I hear they're going to get rid of the divisions in the Big Ten. Guess what? That's going to cheapen the Michigan and Ohio State football game. There he is.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. This thing going crazy today.
I was just going on about how conferences, or rather, sports are being ruined by this push and this drive for money and television content, particularly college football, my favorite sport by far. You've got two teams that are on the far western coast part of the country.
As West Coast.
As far west as you can possibly get, that are joining the Big Ten.
Yeah.
For money. They're getting rid of the divisions in college football in the Big Ten now, which means Michigan, Ohio State means very little in the new scheme of college football. They can play 1 week and then play again the next week in the Big Ten championship game, because there won't be any more East and West division. So that everything is making way. Every tradition, every long-held sacred cow is being eliminated for this drive and this lust after money. It's ruining sports. It's in my opinion. I don't know how you feel.
Well, my thing with especially with the Big Ten, being a Big Ten person, I don't know how they could have done it. Especially with let's just face it, Michigan and Ohio State, that's the Big Ten. Follow me?
Absolutely.
That game is bigger than this conference championship nonsense that they have now. The point is they finally realized, and they realized it a while ago, but they were losing money, not being able to match them up in the conference championship.
Yeah, it's all about money.
It's all about the money.
All of these decisions that are made, it's about money.
If they can find a way for them to match up in the conference championship, then
but it used to be it cheapens the regular season.
It cheapens the regular season, no doubt.
And there is no. And you talk about football, where it really, really gripes my nerves is college basketball. I've long been an opponent. One thing is one of my biggest pet peeves in sports is conference tournaments in college basketball.
Okay.
Nothing but a big money grab. Because here you have a team that can be the dominant team throughout the regular season. What is it? 20 some odd, 30, almost 30 games.
Yeah.
You've proven you were the best team. But because you don't win this silly little mini tournament at the end of the regular season, you don't get the automatic bid to go to the NCAA tournament.
Right.
Now, that might not affect a conference like the Big Ten or the ACC, whose RPI and whose strength of schedule is good enough to get 3 or 4, maybe 5 at-large bids. But for those small conferences where the only team that's going to make the tournament is the conference winner, there's no way in the world that a team who's proven to be the best team throughout the season should get jumped over by some team who probably went 13-10, but they got on a little hot streak in this silly little tournament, and now they get the automatic bid to the tournament, and the team who was the best team during that regular season gets to go home.
Well, what the pundits are going to say is, if you're the best team, then you got to win the tournament.
Why would you have to prove? Why do I need to prove?
Because the tournament is in place.
But it's silly.
That's so if you're the better team, win the tournament too.
You don't have that tournament is there for one reason and one reason only: money. Television sponsorships. It is totally unnecessary.
And the thing too is that, like you're saying, it's all about the money. Now we know if that team is great, they're gonna get into the tournament anyway, the NCAA.
Not necessarily in those
well, they should if they have the best record throughout the season, they should be in.
I'm just saying, I'm making this up I don't know if this is an actual conference or like conferences like the Sun Valley. They're not going to get up there. they're not going to get an at-large bid. You got to
win. No. I'm talking about the major conferences.
Yeah, the major conferences I don't have. That's fine. They're going, you do well.
Yeah.
But those smaller Sun Valleys and those where the only team that gets in is going to be the team that wins the conference. It should go to the team who proved that they were the best team over 3-4 months as opposed to 3 or 4 days. That's ridiculous.
Well, the thing is, I guess that's the big part of March Madness. Yeah,
I would do well with March Madness without those silly conference tournaments at the end. I would. It cheapens it for me. It's such an obvious money grab. There's no reason for it.
Speaking of that, did you hear? I think it's the Big Ten. Or what was it? SEC? I think it's the Big Ten, where right now the money is distributed evenly. That everybody makes in those tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear they're gonna disperse it now based on team record or whatever. So say Michigan does well and goes further in the tournament, they'll get more of the money, which I think is fair.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, me either.
I don't have a problem with that.
I'm proving I think I should benefit from my success. Somewhere.
Absolutely. I don't have a problem with. But it's just too many decisions in sports are driven by money. You know why Notre Dame football won't join a conference?
Because they got their own network.
They have their exclusive television contract with NBC that they don't have to share any of that revenue with anybody. That's why.
And watch what's going to happen with all the streaming stuff now. Their next contract will be based on subscriptions to their Peacock network. You watch.
Yeah.
So that's just more. And so, what's your feeling then? Since the conferences and the schools are benefiting about the little NIL. Everybody complain about the NIL, but these kids still ain't getting half of what the conferences make.
I don't have a problem with NIL. I think the horse is out of the barn, the toothpaste is out of the tube, in terms of how you can regulate it. I think a little bit more thought should have went into it before they went public with it. In terms of how to distribute per athlete and what can and can't be done. But the concept of I remember stories. I grew up during the Fab Five era, and I remember Chris Webber walking into a Foot Locker, and his jersey was the #1 selling jersey in the country.
Yeah.
But he couldn't even buy lunch. He didn't even, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff where these teams, these colleges, these universities are profiting off of the image and likeness of these young players, and they get absolutely nothing. And so I'm glad to see that that the players are actually being allowed to share in the revenue that they are mostly responsible for creating and generating.
I thought it was very interesting this year alone that a lot of the kids that they declared for the draft are returning now back to school for another year.
Make some more money.
Yeah, I'm glad for that, because again, it's only fair you take a look, right? If it doesn't suit you, if you're still eligible, come back. What's wrong with that?
Listen, they asked Angel Reese, was she going to the WNBA? She said, absolutely not. Not right now. She said, I make more money through NIL
than I would if I
90% of WNBA players make in their league.
And she's going to make more now before she ever goes than she probably will when she goes.
So she'll be fine. CJ Stroud was making $3 million a year. If that's the figure that I heard. through NIL before he even signed an NFL contract.
Right.
Bought his mother a house while he's in college. So,
right.
you know, it's the landscape of sports is so much different. And I don't want to sound like that old, get off my lawn, old guy. You know what I'm saying?
Just face up to it, you are. But go
ahead.
It
is. I am. I mean, oh well. But it's just, it's hard. It's hard to see a lot of the traditions that I grew up in sports being bulldozed by this never-ending quest for finances and money. Obviously, it's a business at the end of the day.
Ooh, this show is a sports show, but to throw this out there today, because it's kind of very interesting. So we see this happening in our sports world.
Absolutely.
The quest for the dollars, the compromising of old standard traditions and rivalries, kind of a landscaping of how church is going. And
yeah. Now listen, how much time you got with that?
we got another 40 minutes.
We can talk all night about. I don't even want to start with a lot of what goes on.
The propaganda, the presentation, everything.
Yeah, right. It's true. It holds true that the love people always confuse. It's not money that's the root of all.
It's not the money's not the problem.
Not the problem. It's not. I tell people all the time, money is a tool. You can take fire. I said you can use fire to cook a meal, or you can use fire to burn a house down. It's not the fire that's evil. It's what you do with it.
My goodness.
And most of these things are tools. Social media is a tool. Some people use it for. And so what we've allowed money to become is, Lord, and obviously, it gives you a certain amount of power. You can listen. If all you got to do is give somebody some money, and you will find out everything about them, who they are, what type of person you'll find out everything about them.
Yeah.
And so it reveals the hearts of people. And I just don't, and like I said, I don't want to sound too preachy on this sports show, but it's really sad what's happening in sports, churches, where this pursuit of that almighty dollar is just ruining things, because there are no boundaries. There is nobody that'll say, okay, this far and no further. We've gone far. You've got enough. When is enough?
Right.
When is enough?
And so that with that being said, this is what you have. And let's face it, it's a business. Sports is big,
huge business.
And so the average friend, for the longest time, we didn't look at that. Our allegiance was to the team, right? When things didn't work out, we didn't blame. We don't blame ownership. We blame coaches and the players. But they're part of they're just a tool that's part of the big business.
Absolutely. I remember, and this was what, back in 1996, when Shaquille O'Neal left the Orlando Magic to sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. And at the time, he signed what was considered a gargantuan contract. Yeah. What was it, 7 years, $120 million, which at that time was unheard of. That's nothing, that's now that would be an average contract. But a reporter asked him, like, how could, do you think of basketball? All you do is play basketball and put a ball in a hoop. He said, you think you're worth that kind of money? And he said, you asking the wrong question. I'm trying to do my Shaq impression.
Yeah.
He said, if somebody can afford to pay me $120 million, how much money you think they make?
Right. Exactly. He's right.
They always want to look at the athlete, and particularly the black athlete. Oh my God! Like, listen, if I can write $120 million
check,
guess how much money I got? It's a lot more than $120 million.
Exactly.
It was big business, and I get it. I understand nobody wants to go into business to not make money. I get it. But all I'm asking is, when is, like, you got college football forming these super conferences. You've got Oklahoma and Texas set to join the SEC. You got Michigan, or rather, I'm sorry,
UCLA
and USC and set to join the Big Ten, which is now going to become the Big 16 in actual.
It's the big.
Let's just stop the number. And I'm just saying, pretty soon you're going to have a country where there are 2 or 3 major conferences.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just like, where, and I'm trying to get off this soapbox because I know we got the NBA playoffs going on and we got the good content. It's just really, really been a issue of mine to see where sports is going when it's being driven by this never-ending pursuit for that almighty dollar. And again, I'm not naive. I know that it's a business, but it's hard to enjoy what sports is becoming when every decision is being driven by what will be the most financially profitable, as opposed to what's best for the game. Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Texas. These things are what's best for the sport. Can we get back to doing what's best for the sport and not for the pocketbook once?
Now, they do say, John, that we're going to do our best to keep the rivalries a part of this.
You're going to diminish it. The moment if Michigan and Ohio State play their traditional game at the last, and then immediately 7 days later, they're playing in the Big Ten championship. And then not only that, they could play a third time now that we're expanding the college football playoff to 12 teams. They could possibly play 3 times in 1 year.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice?
No. It wouldn't. Winning that game against Michigan State, you've experienced, I've experienced it. Winning that game against either like one of your major rivals, it gives you 365 days worth of bragging rights.
Whole year to flex.
365 days worth of bragging rights. You got to sit on that loss and stew on it and let it simmer. And now you can in 7 days. And
look at this is so funny because your sister, Mrs. Erica Porter, Homer, like everybody else. And so one day on her IG page, she's on her deck, with a green dress, right? So I couldn't resist. I could not resist. God.
The Sparty in you.
I'm going. I had to do it. So I hit her up. I go. Oh, hey, you're looking pretty good in that Spartan green, right? So she responded back, like with the puke face.
Right.
She go, yeah, green. She go, green is.
But that's the beauty.
But that, like you said, that's what it creates.
That's
right?
the beauty.
And every opportunity we get to remind each other of it, we will use it. And it won't be the same, like you said. It won't be the same.
It won't.
With the
I was there when I was there for Trey's funeral, and we were watching that Michigan State game, and how and I'm crushed. I'm like, I'm crushed because I gotta hear from y'all for the next 365 days. But imagine if both teams make the playoffs, and then it just cheapens it for me. And again, I get it from a financial standpoint. You want to maximize profits. That's what American style capitalism is. It's just money, profit.
Let's make the money.
But at some point,
because even if one of those teams went on to win the national title, but if you lose to us, we still got you.
No doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But that's where we are. So I don't know, man. I'm done, I guess, with that.
But I love the point you made too. About what Shaq said, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they're just paying me, right?
Let alone this player.
Let alone whoever else on the squad.
Your anger is misguided, basically, is what.
And because you're not looking at the big picture.
Like, it's
true. We individualize it, right? But let's look at let's look at the big picture, which is true.
And I get it. The stars are the stars. Nobody sees an owner. Nobody. He's
or just depending on who the owner is, right?
Right. Unless you're Mark Cuban or Jerry Jones or somebody like that.
Right. That they're always showing on the camera.
Yeah, but for the most part, they're just being counters. They're just sitting back counting money, counting money.
I mean, you host your draft from your yacht. I mean, you got some money, dude.
Yeah. So.
Oh, we're not at our facility. We're out here on the coast of Italy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Us working stiffs, we have no idea what that.
And just like we have a guest that we're trying to get on the show. He's supposed to be on. Well, he would have been on last week, but I was traveling. Week before that, he was graduating, and then today he's hanging out downtown, Detroit somewhere. So the joke was with me and John was, these people that have lives, they get on my nerve.
Right. How dare you have something to do?
How dare you have something to do when the show's coming on?
We'll get him.
So funny. So funny. So let's talk a little NBA. The finals have started.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. What's your opinion?
Well, and I kind of posed this question on Facebook because being a fan, we know where the word fan comes from. It's short for fanatic, and logic is not always at the forefront, I'll say, when considering who you root for and who you root against, basically. And whenever there's a situation where, now it can be something that's easily explained, but obviously people are prone to think the worst whenever something goes against the team that they're rooting for. And LeBron is always brought up, well, the NBA, they look how many foul shots they took as opposed to my team. The NBA wants this team to win. And I said, okay, for all you conspiracy theorists out there, you have the Denver Nuggets and the Miami
Nuggets and the Heat.
So if you honestly think that the NBA is fixing games and pushing these, do you think this is when you had the opportunity to have the finals basically of a lifetime with the Lakers and the Celtics?
Right.
Two teams
both going for 18.
Both sitting on 17 champions.
Yeah. Tradition
everywhere.
Yeah.
All kinds of storylines between these traditional rivals. The only real true rivalry in the NBA is the Lakers and the Celtics.
True.
You had it right here. You got those two teams
right there for the taking.
It was right there for the taking. But yet we wound up with Denver. And I'm a basketball fan. I'm going to watch regardless. But I hardly think that this series will draw that casual fan. I'm going to be very interested to see what the ratings numbers are for this NBA Finals series. But I would just pose that question to all our conspiracy theorists. Like, do you if the NBA was fixing games and promoting certain teams, do you think this is the matchup we would have? I could even see Denver Celtics. I could even see Lakers Heat.
Right.
But out of all the possible matchups in from those conference finals, you got the worst possible matchup.
So at least for this year, it wasn't fixed.
There we go. But I mean, it's people are prone. Logic is really thrown out of the window when it comes to sports. I'm
always some suspicion, right?
Yeah, it's always something. Whenever the team that you want to win, all I heard throughout that Golden State series was the Lakers. Look at this foul shot disparity. First of all, if the NBA was so,
are you watching the games though?
Well, I'm just saying, if the NBA was so interested in promoting LeBron James, don't you think he would be better than 4-6 in the NBA Finals?
Right.
Think about it.
If it was so fixed, right?
If it was so fixed, don't you think he'd have at least a 500 record in the finals?
Yeah, no, I agree. I
mean, come on. I'm not saying.
And now, for the sake of basketball, right? The disparity in game one for foul shooting, that's because nobody goes to the hole.
No,
nobody. You're not gonna get fouled if you're not in the post.
Game one, the Golden State Warriors in game one of that series took 53 3-point shots. 53. I want you to let that sink in for a moment. Because the 3-point shot is the shot that will least likely draw any type of contact. 53 3-point shots in one game.
Yeah.
One game.
Yeah.
I remember watching this was back in 2003 or 2004. It was the Lakers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was LeBron James and Kobe Bryant's very first matchup in the NBA.
Okay.
And the first 3-point shot in that game was not taken until about 3 minutes before halftime.
Wow.
Before halftime.
Wow. And you said that was 2003, 4?
I believe it was 2003 or 2004.
Well, but remember too, though, that's before the great sucking in of Curry and them too.
People get mad at me when I say it, but Steph, I love Steph as an individual player. I do. He has absolutely ruined the game of basketball.
Steph ruined it.
It's not he personally,
but the style of play.
But that style of play that he ushered in, because he is so exceptional at it, people think that they can just. Yeah. I was watching the game,
and because now everybody yanking them up.
No, I looked at Boston, the game 7 that Boston just lost.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I'm like, at some point they went like 7 for 39 from the 3-point. I'm like, after that 20th miss, nothing in your brain said, this ain't working. This ain't working.
Exactly.
Let's try to do something. But no, they're just programmed to think 3-point shot.
And did you notice the other night? I loved it actually. So the Nuggets were up 24, right? The Heat connect on a couple threes. They get it down to 8.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The very next series, Denver comes down, and instead of Jokic bringing it down, he parks in the post.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
I have no answer for him.
And I'm like, Joe, I was so happy.
Yep.
Right. And I'm not rooting for them because they beat my boy. So, but I was like, about time somebody
but that's basketball. It's strategy. It's chessmen.
Yeah. And so the next three possessions, he gets the ball in the post.
Yes. Yes.
That's
what you do.
Let's
when you have a 7-foot guy.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where this is. Again, 7 for 39 or something. I'm like,
yeah.
What do we do? And so I don't blame Steph. I am a fan. Full disclaimer, I am a fan of Steph Curry. I think he's one of the most unbelievable players. I think, and I've labeled this, I've called him the most dangerous weapon the NBA has ever seen. From this standpoint, he's the only player that you literally have to guard the moment he steps across the half-court line.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's a threat to score from anywhere on the floor.
Yes, absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Literally, you legit have to guard him the moment he steps across that half-court line, because he can launch a shot off from anywhere on that side of the court, and it's liable to go in. But everybody can't do that.
And here's one of the best parts about this is, you mentioned how he changed the game, right? But he himself plays basketball within the means of his outside shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's in constant motion, right?
No doubt.
He's coming off picks in the screen. So he's playing the game correctly. I don't know what all these other knuckleheads are doing.
Well, he playing the game, and I think people don't realize, too, there was a time when Steph was leading the league in points in the paint.
Yeah.
He can get to the basket. He's such an exceptional shooter that it overshadows everything else that he's capable of doing.
Yeah.
He's one of the best. I think outside of Kyrie Irving, there ain't a better ball handler in the league than Steph Curry. He can put you on skates. I've seen it. He can get to the basket. He's one of the best finishers with both hands at the basket. But he shoots such incredible shots that would be bad shots for anybody else. His prowess as a shooter just overshadows everything else that he's doing. And the game, for people who've tried to emulate, and Trae Young shot less than he shot 32% from the three. Trying to be like mini me, Steph, Dame Lillard, Steph, all them guys trying to take these 30+ 3 points, 30 feet. It's just stop it. Stop.
Yeah.
You're ruining the game. He can do that. He can do that. You can't. Stop. Can we get back to basketball?
You're a basketball purist. You love the game.
No doubt.
All the little innuendos of the game, everything. Tell me what you think about the Joker.
Oh, listen. For a guy, let me tell you something, man. For a guy who is as unathletic, jumps this high off the ground, has the most unorthodox playing. He is one of the most brilliant basketball players his ability not only to shoot, to score on the inside, to direct the offense, his assists, his ability to pass, his court vision. He's the MVP. The only reason why he didn't get the MVP this year is because Joel Embiid begged for it, basically. But there's no doubt in my mind this year should have been his third straight year winning the league MVP. He's phenomenal. And like you say, he'll put it in the post. He'll get in the paint. He'll go old school. Now, he can hit the outside shot as well as anybody. but he'll get on that block.
He'll get on
That's
the block.
something that Joel Embiid is reluctant to do at times.
And he's great with both hands.
No doubt. Phenomenal play.
And like I said, the footwork. Oh my God.
Phenomenal play.
Unbelievable.
And so I think
and you can't and you know Miami trying to play that zone. Their
shooters are too good. Their shooters are too good for them to be effective with that zone.
I tell you, you know what? You know who's so effective, but he does it quite. How many points did Murray had the other night?
Jamal Murray, probably in the 20s. I mean, just he's another guy.
He barely had the ball, man. That's what I'm like. He got what?
But he's a dead-eye shooter. He don't.
Oh my God!
And you add KCP to the mix, who can stroke it.
And he had an off game one.
Yeah, Bruce Brown can put it up.
And then Gordon was killing them.
Yeah, and then you got Aaron Gordon with his muscle and his grit. You don't even have to call plays for him. He'll just get those rebounds and put backs, and so. I think they're going to make quick work of Miami. To be perfectly honest with you,
I think so too.
I think the clock strikes 12 with Miami, and they turn back into a pumpkin.
They go back to the pumpkin.
They're going back into a pumpkin. Nice Cinderella ride. You done Cinderella your way through the finals, but the clock is about to hit 12. You're about to turn back into a pumpkin.
I agree. I mean, when you see a basketball team like Denver and they're clicking on all cylinders, because my thing was game one, either they're gonna come out flat or they're gonna come out, they didn't come out blazing, but they were effective.
Right. You'll get a better effort from Miami if Miami's best chance of being competitive in this series is trying to steal game two.
Yeah.
You
have
to win game two.
For Miami, though, you have to be able to hold Denver off in the fourth quarter as well.
Yeah. Because that's when they can come at you.
They come at you. They're gonna run. They're gonna go to the post with Joker. He's gonna do something. He's gonna score.
Or Jamal Murray will find
somebody. Or Murray can get exactly.
I watched him do that to the Lakers when Jamal Murray
had 30 in the second half.
And then he poured in 23 in the fourth quarter, effectively stealing that game. That game was the Lakers to win. They had that
game 4?
Yep. He poured in 23 points.
They ran out,
and boom.
They ran out of gas. Lakers ran out of gas.
I mean, it's they got some retooling to do, but Denver right now is the de facto standard of the league. They're the best team in the league, in my opinion. I think they would have been
right now they are. And they play so well. Now, and why do we have to always try to look in 3 years ahead? Oh, are they going to be a dynasty? Can they win first?
Gotta win. I mean, listen.
You gotta win. You gotta win one first.
Trip to the NBA Finals in franchise history. I think they did it in the ABA, but
right.
And so I think they're gonna make most of it. I do believe they'll be champions, and then we can talk about, because you can say this about Denver, but you don't know what moves other teams are gonna make around the league.
Well, and they still have to get back there themselves.
Yeah, so it'll be tough.
You never know what could happen.
Speaking about
blowing me out walking down the stairs.
Right.
Anything can happen.
Well, let me ask you this. Speaking about what could possibly happen and what moves could be, do you think the Lakers should pursue Kyrie Irving?
No. I personally don't. Why not?
Do they run it back the way they are? Or what do you do? What do you do?
Well, the thing is, most of their guys are based on 1-year contracts, pretty much. The Lakers need a better bench.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They need 2 or 3 players that come off the bench that's gonna get you some boards, that can defend. at a decent level. And I think they'll be.
Well, let me
Kyrie's going to get some scoring, but
let me tell you the reason why I asked that. It's because I think the Lakers were surprised at this run to the West. I don't think they really expected to compete like they did. Right. I think that trade deadline was primarily for the purpose of getting out from under that Russell Westbrook contract.
Yeah.
I don't think they really made trades thinking, okay, this might propel us to the Western Conference Finals. And so I think that their main priority at the trade deadline, we got to get rid of Westbrook. And whoever we got to take into return, we just got. And then they stumbled upon something. Oh, okay, we got something here. And so do you run it back and give them a full training camp, a full preseason,
and try to add a piece?
Do they have enough as is to seriously compete, or do you need to add a Kyrie?
Well, again, Kyrie's not really a team guy, really. Just hasn't, they won it in Cleveland, but that was it, and he won out of that situation.
I agree, Laretha. Never underestimate the heart of a champion.
Yeah,
I completely agree with that.
And so the thing is, they do need some better guard play for sure.
We talking D'Lo?
D'Lo.
I like Schroeder.
And Schroeder's good off the bench, though. He don't need to be
I don't necessarily think he has to start, but I like what Schroeder brings.
But he's gonna defend.
He brings that tenacious defense. Absolutely.
Yeah, he brings that. He will defend. D'Lo just didn't show up at all in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, he's a throw in. I think he's expendable.
Yeah. And the thing with D'Lo, the talent is there. He can get you 30 on some nights, but it ain't gonna be every night.
I think what are the cons of going? I think they should pursue Kyrie. Only reason why I say that.
Give me your reason why.
I'll tell you why. It's because, first of all, his status in the league has been somewhat diminished by all of the controversy that sort of follows him wherever he goes. And so I think you can get him a lot cheaper than you could have gotten him 2-3 years ago, where it won't totally wreck your salary cap to acquire him in free agency. That's number one. Number two, the only player that has been able to get the most out of Kyrie Irving and his brilliance on the court is LeBron James.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's LeBron James.
It's true. Very true.
So if you can add Kyrie to a lineup where you still got Hachimura, bring him back. You still
they cannot let Austin Reeves get away.
That's the one thing. That's probably going to be the biggest decision that they have to make, because that guy is going to get a major offer from somebody.
Yeah.
And the Lakers going to have to I don't know if he's restricted or unrestricted. I don't know.
He's restricted. They have to match whatever somebody
offers. The Lakers will have the opportunity to match whatever offer
and with the thing about Reeves is he's earned this on the floor.
No doubt. Yeah. I think he's earned the right to test solid
for 2 years. Yeah.
I think he's earned the right to test free agency and see what kind of offers are out there available for him. But I think he should be top priority. He should be a top priority for the Lakers to retain. But if you can put him on the court, if you can put a lineup of Kyrie, Austin Reeves at the 2, Bron, AD, and whoever, man, that's something you can put. You can start planning a parade around.
That's decent for sure, no doubt.
You can plan a parade around that lineup.
Yeah, no doubt. But you got to get you a number 4 or 5 guy that can score a little bit too. Take a little off of.
I think you'll. I mean, if you're talking, here's what the Lakers missed against Denver. They didn't have a Dwight Howard. The difference between the bubble and this year is that they could employ Dwight Howard on
But you know what? I'm going to prop up our boy Joker though. Joker's at a different level this year though.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying you would at least have had because throwing Tristan Thompson out there, what
were you gonna do with he only could do what he had.
You needed that Dwight Howard or that JaVale McGee type of player that can man up.
Somebody's gonna get you some quick buckets.
Yeah, and then too, it would take the pressure off of AD.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have to guard Jokic.
It's amazing to me how all year you play some of everybody. Then when the playoffs come, and because what's the guy there, Gabriel? He played all the time during the season. They barely used, and he's one of them action guys. High energy.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna get
playoffs a different animal.
He's gonna get five rebounds and 5 fouls, but he's gonna give you some energy.
They shorten that bench in the playoffs.
I think they shorten them too much.
Yeah, they do. Especially when you shorten them too much. I mean, but that's just I think coaches sort of employ that strategy whenever they get to the playoffs, and a lot of times it's to their detriment because you do have guys that would, number one, benefit from that experience, but you're not, as a coach, coaches are hired to be fired. Let's just be honest.
I mean, they get the credit and they take the blame.
Yeah, and so
that's their profession.
Playoffs is where not only players prove their mettle.
That's where you make your name.
But coaches as well.
It's true.
Look at Mike D'Antonio. Great regular season guy.
Yeah.
Flame out in the playoffs every year. You know what I'm saying?
He's not a defensive mastermind.
He's not.
You gotta be able to play some defense.
He's not nowhere near. I can get on him later because I remember when the Lakers had a chance to bring Phil Jackson back, who had agreed to come back to the Lakers, but they chose. That's when Jeannie's brother was running the team.
Right.
They chose Mike D'Antonio, who's never won anything in the playoffs. But I digress.
And we know that had nothing to do with coaching. That was all personal.
Well, he said because he had Steve Nash on the team, and Steve. I'm like, listen. Anyway, but coaches make just like players cement their legacies in the playoffs, so do coaches. And I think coaches, the reason why they shorten their benches is because they listen. We're gonna go with who we know. We're gonna go with our main guys. And we're not going to try to do a lot of experimenting because now is the time to win. You can experiment over 82-game regular season. When it's time to win, we're going to go with where we go. We're going to go with where we go.
Yeah, well,
and I understand that, but at the same time, you got guys who could be valuable contributors that are chained to the bench.
And again, too, you have what's name had to step up next year too. You got to play. Since you're gonna be there, that's Max Christie.
Yeah.
Who's a good shooter.
Good shooter.
Again, you got to prove yourself because you're going to be on the squad for 2 years, 2 more years. So you got to do something while you're there. But as you say, for the most, they got some good. If they can kind of keep it together, I think they'll be formative.
Yeah, no doubt. But that's a big if because. I see.
Because again, too, what is everybody else going to do? What I mean?
People say we improve. Well, so did this team. So did this team. So did this team.
That's one good thing about the summertime. With all the sports now, they're kind of year round because of all the action, right? Because you
free agency
football is coming, but then you're looking at what your team did during the summer. Oh man, we got so and so.
That's right. You get a good look at some of the. You can look at some of the incoming rookies.
A lot of times with you're rooting whoever you root for in the baseball. You just about know when they're July, you know if they're done or not, almost.
Yep. Tigers, listen, the Tigers been done by the
Tiger was done in spring training, but
they be done by the literally June. They're playing out the string in June.
Well, we as always, the Yankees, we have no pitching to win a championship.
Which is kind of odd for a team like the Yankees, because that was a team that threw out Andy Pettitte and
the thing is we've supposedly had the pieces, but they haven't been
Roger Clemens and you. I mean, because you had Garrett Cole, Severino's always injured. Cortez is an anomaly. You know, he's doing better than he's ever done. And so they really they don't have a 2-3 punt. But it's
you can't do it with just one man.
If Steinbrenner was still alive, Justin Verlander would probably be a New York Yankee instead of a New York
no doubt about it. No doubt.
Him and Max Scherzer would be wearing the pinstripe.
They signed Rodon off for 2 good years, but he's injury prone. He's injured now. So I mean, they signed a big money guy, but he's not available.
Well, that's the thing. It's like if the boss was still around, because that was a franchise that always prioritized that rotation. I mean, I think Andy Pettitte? Andy Pettitte
it would have not
third or fourth starter.
It would not have been allowable for them to go from 2009 to now without a championship. Papa was alive. No doubt about it.
That's an eternity for the Yankees.
Yeah. Well, and I'm telling you now, Papa George would have got rid of Cashman by now. Yeah.
Look at Brian Cashman.
They fired. Remember, and you call it I'm not even gonna put it on the race thing, but they fired Bob Watson after they won a chip as a GM and gave it to Cashman. What's that?
That's how impatient. That's
you follow what I'm saying?
That's how they ran. They won a chip.
They won a chip. They had a down year. They made the playoff, but they fired Watson.
But I think, and again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the show. The Yankees are a cash cow.
Yeah.
Do they still have that local television that they deal with, like
Yes Network, regional sports network, yeah.
So they're going to be swimming in money. You know what I'm saying? And so I think a lot of times with these guys who don't prioritize sports, it's just enough. This is an example in business. Now Apple is as profitable as they've ever been.
Right.
But a lot of the magic of the Apple products died when Steve Jobs died.
Yeah.
The creator, the vision, stuff.
Yeah.
These
right. Yeah. They've been able. How long Jobs been dead now?
2011.
Okay, so it's been that long.
Yeah. Yep.
So they've basically been able to survive.
Not the same company though. They're
not what I'm saying, but they've been able to survive for 12 years based on name alone.
The Apple product, brand.
But
the
name,
Apple
yeah.
brand.
But
I'm an avid user of Apple products. I love Apple. They're not the same company. Right. And I think it holds true. But they've made money. They've made more money for their shareholders. You know, they know how to chase. But there were times when Apple didn't make decisions based upon what would make them the most money. They made decisions based upon what was the right thing to do and what would be
because they knew who they were.
They knew who they were.
Yeah, true.
Now, a lot of times I'm looking at an iPhone, you can't hardly tell it from an Android phone sometimes.
Well, I mean, if we want to be honest with the people, they share the same chips. Matter of fact, do you know that the Android uses an Apple chip in their phone?
Well, and Apple uses Samsung actually manufactures Apple's chips.
Yes. Yeah,
and so
we don't want to tell the consumers that they're sucking the guys up.
Steve Jobs didn't allow that. Steve Jobs was like, no, Apple products are Apple products. We're not mixing with a lot of stuff. And that's Steve Jobs was the George Steinbrenner of Apple, where these guys actually promoted and they cared about. You know what I'm saying? I think all big businesses exploit customers.
Oh, everybody!
Yeah, I'm not trying to sing the virtues of these CEOs like they don't.
No,
they all do it. But
at least we're so hoodwinked by name brand.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
But I think there was a certain quality. Steve Jobs cared more about his reputation than making money, and there was a certain quality to Apple products that he wouldn't allow it. Some of the mistakes that they've made, they would have never allowed it if Steve Jobs was alive. And that's the same thing I'm saying about George Steinbrenner. It's like, listen, these guys were old school in their thinking, and they can be a little bit Neanderthalish at times where there are certain places where you probably do need to evolve. But one thing they were not going to do, they were not going to put an inferior product out on the field.
No, true.
The best pitchers, they would. I mean, remember when they got Randy Johnson?
He was trying.
I mean, dude.
They got Ichiro for a little while.
Ichiro. Yeah. They had the best closer in the game, Mariano Rivera. Best closer in the game. Everything they had worked for them. You know what I'm saying? Because they actually said, hey, we ain't just here to make money. We want to add to those.
We want to win.
But now I think teams are content, and the fans don't do it any justice. How many years did we complain in Detroit about why the Silverdome and even Ford Field full of people, regardless of whether they win or lose, full? They packed out stadium. I said they have no incentive to really change things because y'all gonna show up whether they do or not.
Right. No, it's
all right. I'm done with my soap.
But because I mean, again, the best way to shut companies and people down is don't spend the money with them.
Yeah.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
But
we gotta run. We're a little overtime.
Yeah. It looks like my partner's technology is failing him. He must be using Android. I don't know. But we have certainly enjoyed and again, please guys, forgive me for my rants today. There were some things that are just near and dear to my heart that I sort of had to get off my chest today. And so we are, as always, we thank you guys for tuning in. There's so many things that you can watch, but thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time right here on Sports Chat. We'll try to be on time next week. We typically go at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We started out doing a half an hour, but we're looking at doing an hour each and every Saturday. All right. Looks like my partner's battery has died, and so I am going to go and close this out. All right, guys. See you all next time.